Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mix's Review. And today's episode, we decided to mix up Vurve. There's quite a lot of recipes. We also have Rudi here. Welcome, Rudi. You've seen him on, you've seen him on, some of the previous shows. But Deetz unfortunately has problems with his service provider, so he couldn't join us. But he's going to be back next week. So yeah, Rudi, I guess you can kick off with your first recipe.
Sure. So also admittedly a little bit of a Vurve fanboy. As we chatted earlier, I've done most of the recipes. I think out of his stable, I've probably mixed about 20 of them over the last two and a half years. So I'm familiar with his style. I like his style because it's nice, and the recipes are fairly simple yet complex, and it takes a skillful mixer to create such a thing. Most of the recipes that I prefer are nice low volume, low percentages, and steep times aren't really a problem. And the first one that I've taken a liking to is a sweet leaf. Sweet leaf is a tobacco, so it's a typical cigar vape for tobacco lovers, but with a twist. The twist is that the first time I made this, as one makes any normal tobacco, mix it up, put it in the steeping cupboard and let it sit for at least 2 weeks, generally a month, and then give it a go. After 3 weeks, I had the first taste of it, and it didn't taste nice. It was, it tasted off. There was something wrong with it. Went back to the notes, and there was nothing. So if you look on the recipe on all the flavors, there's absolutely no description. It just says sweet vanilla and strong true cigar flavor. And down by steep days, there was 0 days. So I thought that was a mistake. I then went and looked for Pure Tobacco's description and flavor notes by guys on Reddit, and found that Pure Tobacco is actually one of those unique tobaccos concentrates that needs no steeping whatsoever. It's a shake and vape. It's ready off the shake for what it is. It's a full heavy cigar with beautiful notes. It's got a typical walk into a cigar shop type vibe to it. A nice rich tobacco flavor, and then it's enhanced with a bit of shisha vanilla. So Vurve did mention that the recipe was based off Holy Nella Rouleau, which is the same base but with a few additional ingredients. So they've added Kentucky blend and a Holy Grail to the base. But the recipe as it is for a non-tobacco DIY or vapor, I would imagine this is probably the easiest and best venture to see if the tobacco bug will bite. It is a very smooth, easygoing, not overpoweringly tobacco-y. And the bonus is that it's not a coil killer. Most tobaccos ruin your coils immediately. And after the first 5-10 drags, you need to make the decision early on if you're going to continue with tobacco or not, because that stuff is then stuck in there forever. But this one is not that bad. You can with ease move on to another flavor, even a fruit on top of this, no problem. So it's an very easy recipe, 4% flavoral cured tobacco, and then 1.5 shisha vanilla. Mm-hmm. So easy, smooth, well balanced. The vanilla notes comes through beautifully. It's almost what one would think that the vanilla in a traditional tobacco will get lost, and especially against a strong pure tobacco. But here it stands up beautifully, and the two balance each other out perfectly. So stunning entry level vape but also a very complex vape for a more mature. Yes? Have we lost something? Are we
Yeah,
back?
we actually had a bit of an unstable connection there. But yeah, I mean, I think we got the gist of it. I mean, this is a two ingredient recipe, and a really good place to start if you want to check out the tobacco recipes, or try and see if you into tobaccos.
Right, staying with the tobacco theme, I decided to step a little bit out of my comfort zone. I mean, I've mixed up most of Vurve's stuff like Rudi. I'm quite a Vurve fanboy. I mean, most of my early mixing was heavily influenced by listening to Vurve and watching him on beginner blending. So he was a big influence on my mixing. And I've done things like his blackberry ice cream, his milk and sugar cookies, his birthday ice cream cake, and those are all bangers. But I thought, for the purposes of the show, I'd step out of my comfort zone and try a tobacco. And this is probably the only time on the show you're ever going to see me reviewing a tobacco. But I tried his honey nut cigar. Vurve himself says in his notes that he was inspired by Wayne's Pistachio RY4U, and he wanted to just do a slightly different take on that. So being an RY4, that's kind of in my comfort zone. I won't do a full-on tobacco, but a dessert tobacco I'll certainly tackle. So the recipe for this one: 1% Inawera marzipan, 2% Flavora milk and honey, 1.5% TPA pistachio, and 3% TFA RY4 double. Now, straight away, looking at the recipe, it looks odd. I mean, if you get 1.5% TFA flavor with a 2% Flavora flavor and a 1% Inawera flavor, you're going to expect that the Inawera and the Flavora are going to stomp all over the TFA and drown it out. And that is not the case with this. That pistachio, the TFA pistachio at 1.5%, is surprisingly prominent in the mix. It is a strong flavor for TFA. Wayne also noted that when he refined his RY4U recipe, he brought the pistachio down because it was too high initially. And in this, the pistachio comes through quite prominently as at the sort of forefront of the vape, but it's very well balanced with the cherry from the Inawera marzipan. And then throughout, you get both of them being blended with the caramel, sort of caramel dark sweetness of the Flavora milk and honey, and then just a little bit of tobacco at the end of the exhale from the RY4 double. He said he was looking for a sort of nutty, creamy feel, and he certainly gets that from the pistachio and the marzipan. The pleasant thing for me is that the nuts aren't too dry. Nutty vapes can very quickly go dry and sort of quite burnt and astringent for me. But this one, it hangs in there very well thanks to the milk and honey. That adds a bit of moistness to it. And what you get is a very deep, complex dessert tobacco vape where you've got this pistachio element, the creamy sort of caramel element from the milk and honey, and then just that little bit of cherry offsetting the nuts. It's not really my type of profile, but I have to say I found this surprisingly tasty. And if I was going to mix a tobacco, this would certainly be at the forefront of what I do. It's just desserty enough and sort of fruity and nutty enough not to register as a full-on tobacco. It's got that sort of RY4 double dirty feel to it. And I think he's certainly done a very interesting and very different take on Wayne's profile. That cherry just pushes it into a slightly different zone and adds quite a lot of depth to it. So if you're not fully into tobaccos, but you want to sort of dabble into dessert tobaccos, this one is a really good one to try. As I say, it's not really my profile, maybe a little bit sweet for me, but as a dessert tobacco, this one hits the spot. So well done from me.
Nice.
Nice. On the Emily show, I mixed up Emily's banana pudding, vanilla wafer banana pudding, and of course in that recipe she had said that she was inspired by Vurve's vanilla wafer banana pudding, but the only difference there is Emily wanted a little bit more of a wafer in her banana pudding. So, when this show now came up, I was interested to mix up this recipe. I mean, he goes in with 4.5% LA banana cream, which Emily doesn't do that, right? Um, there's a few other things about this recipe as well. So I think the original recipe, as far as I can, do the research on it, from ELR and from Reddit, I believe the original recipe had TFA banana ripe in it and FA some joy in it as well.
Yeah.
However, those have been taken out later on, and the recipe now is 4.5% LA banana cream, 1.5% TFA banana cream, 0.25% FA meringue, 0.5% cap sugar cookie, and 0.75% TFA vanilla swirl. That's a fairly simple recipe. As Rudi was also saying earlier, just simple, great percentages, banging recipes kind of thing. So that speaks volumes, and definitely in here as well. But to sum it all up, what Vurve is saying about LA banana cream is what a lot of us, is kind of saying, is that he doesn't get the runtiness out of LA banana cream, all right? And he says specifically in there that if he did, he wouldn't use it here. But I think there's something else happening with this recipe. I think the vanilla swirl and the TFA banana cream is pulling back that banana LA banana cream a little bit, making it a little less potent, right? So that's what I think is happening with this. But I mean, he is talking about that concentrate on its own. I'm also very scared of LA banana cream. I do like that candiness of it, and I think it has its applications. But at 4.5%, I was a little bit worried. However, in this application, it actually works really well. What he's done here, he's made the banana blend but with LA banana cream and TFA banana cream. I think that's a pretty good blend for a nice banana cream. He added some sugar cookie in there to help thicken up that recipe. Already has a little bit of cream in there, so it didn't go very high, 0.5%. And then he put in 0.75% vanilla swirl, and that's to add that vanilla note and a little bit more cream to add body. And then gives you the imitation or the idea that there's a wafer at the end. So I think the big question here is, which one do I prefer? I've mixed up Emily's now, I've mixed up Vurve's, and I think my personal preference lies here with the Vurve version, the original, and it's only because I think I like a lighter wafer, in this recipe specifically. You have to really go and look for it. Emily was definitely right in saying that it's very faint in the back, but I kind of prefer it there, So yeah, I think it's a quite a clever little mix how it's been put together. I really like this one, and I love, if you're looking for a nice banana pudding, this is definitely one to go for, depending if you like LA banana cream or not, right? So if you are a little bit scared of LA banana cream, then rather go for the Emily version.
Yeah, I mixed it up as well. And I've got a bottle here which I mixed in June. So it's had a good 4 months to steep. There's not much left, but it's beautiful. There's two things I like. The one is that the banana is not so forward. So it's not a hit in your face banana. And I think the mission of the previous banana improved it. And then because there's no sweetener in, that's my winning recipe. I think the sweetness in here is perfect. Commercial wise, probably needs to be a little bit sweeter. But for me, this is a perfect banana. It's probably the only banana that I use. I'm keen to try this with the new banana puree to see if it will add a new dimension to it. But as it is, I was also scared about a 4.5% LA banana cream, but it works beautifully and tamed nicely with the TPA banana cream. So overall, and the cookie is spot on. Nothing overpowers. It blends perfectly. It creates that illusion of a sort of a wafer. Stunning.
Yeah, stunning. I also enjoyed this one.
Good. Next one I've got is something I've been waiting for quite a while until the flavor became available locally, which is the Vurves Best Damn Pink Lemonade. So LA Lemonade was absent in South Africa for a long time. It became available a couple of months ago. And as soon as it landed, my order was in and I mixed this up same time. The date actually also June, so it was the beginning of June that it landed here. So it's been in the country for about 4 months. I ordered about 4 bottles of the stuff already. I love LA Lemonade. As the description and as Vurve comments, there is, to my knowledge, not a better single flavor lemonade concentrate around. It is by far the best, and it encapsulates a real authentic lemonade taste, that real zingy, fresh lemon taste, sweet and slightly, not overly sweet at all. And in this recipe, it's used at a relatively high percentage, but it's needed to provide the full punch. So the recipe calls for 6% LA lemonade, 0.5% lemon Sicily by FA. Raspberry and strawberry provides the pinkness, and also used sparingly. So the TPA raspberry sweet at 2% and 1% strawberry ripe. So this, as with normal fresh lemon, this sort of gives you this feeling on your tongue of sort of an aliveness. But the problem is the astringentness of the lemon makes your tongue it overstimulates one's tongue, and then it becomes sore. So if you vape this entire day, your tongue will become raw. But it's that taste, and it's almost an overpowering all-day vape. So I use this as an occasional, and it's for that nice, fresh, bright, punch-in-the-face lemonade, especially when you have vapor's tongue, or if you've had some bakeries and custards for a long time. This is a perfect relief, and it provides a nice palate cleansing effect. So just on the lemonade, as Vurve comments, he says, "Holy crap, LA lemonade is awesome." I don't earn much from LA, but when I do find something from them, it's a home run. And this lemonade is absolutely perfect. The lemon is perfectly balanced and tastes exactly the way it should. You're going to find a very hard time substituting LA lemonade. So there is a Flavora lemonade, and I have played with the Flavora lemonade, but the LA lemonade by far just knocks it out of the park with this one. The pink is raspberry and strawberry, used sparingly, just to provide the fruit kick to it. So 2% and 1% on the strawberry ripe gives that authentic fruity lemonade. This is nothing quite shop-like that you can compare it to that you'd find in a store. This is more of a homemade lemonade, the American version of a homemade lemonade. Nothing like the lemonade we get locally, or like a Sprite. This is a complete different feel, an authentic sour and sweet lemonade. And I mean, it is the lemon Sicily just adds that additional lemon notes, just to sharpen it up a little bit. The lemonade is fairly sweet. The normal LA lemonade, it is a sweet, but not overly so. And the lemon just cuts through that sweetness a bit to provide a beautiful base. So stunning. As I say, for me, it's an occasional. I've tried both versions. One with a touch of WS23 just to cool it down. I didn't like it. I prefer the plain version, and by far the best fruit lemonade recipe out there.
But just a question on that: if you had to think about this in an all-day vape application, but consider the same recipe, what would you have done here? Would you keep in the Sicily? Would you pull back the LA lemonade a little bit?
A trick that I've done in a couple of my mixes is I split the LA lemonade, and I do half LA lemonade and the other half I do fizzy sherbet. So I do 3 and 3. And that the fizzy sherbet doesn't have that strong lemon flavor that breaks your tongue up, and that works beautifully well. So as an all-day vape, I would struggle to do either of those, even with the fizzy sherbet. That's my opinion. So I mean, others may have a different view. But for me, it is just a little bit too astringent. It's like sucking a lemon-flavored lozenge or something like that for an entire day. Your mouth is going to start rejecting it, and you're going to get those funny grooves on your tongue.
Yeah,
it's got that funny feeling. And this is what I got from this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I only asked because I'm a bit of a lemonade fanboy. Any soda really. So pretty interested in this version.
What could also work is perhaps a drop, maybe 1% or so of champagne, just to cut that the lemonade slightly. But I'm not. I don't think that will work. The fizzy sherbet does the trick for me.
Okay. Cool.
Should be noted as well that Vurve's Best Damn Pink Lemonade started one of the longest running trends in DIY, which was people calling their recipes Best Damn. Coke Can released about 15 recipes after that were all called Best Damns something. So, keeping with that theme, my next one is Vurve's Best Damn Strawberry Pop-Tart. Well, not actually, it's just called Strawberry Pop-Tart, but Best Damn makes it sound better. So, Vurve describes this as a raw strawberry Pop-Tart. So just going through the recipe, 1% FA cookie, 1% LA cream cheese icing, 0.5% FA meringue, 1.5% TFA pie crust, 1% Inawera Shisha strawberry, and 3% TPA strawberry ripe. So I think the thing that Vurve got absolutely spot on with this, other than the description, because it does register as a raw strawberry Pop-Tart, is that he gets the texture absolutely bang on. Now, I'm kind of the opposite to Theo on this. If I have a fruity bakery, I want the bakery to be prominent with the fruit kind of as an accent, and I find that a lot of bakery mixes go the other way. The fruit top note will be dominant, and you just get a hint of bakery in the background. I like my bakery to register, and I think Vurve does that really well in this. What I get from this is a very solid representation of a filling, a gooey strawberry filling wedged in between two thin pastry crusts, which is essentially what a strawberry Pop-Tart is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The strawberry is layered in really well. That mixture of Inawera Shisha and TFA strawberry ripe gives you get a nice sort of brightness from the strawberry ripe with the jamminess, the syrupiness from the Shisha strawberry, and that registers very well as a filling. And then the TFA pie crust with the FA cookie again comes across as a light. It's not at all a dense or stodgy pie crust. It's light like a Pop-Tart would be. And then the FA meringue and the LA cream cheese icing as the kind of sugary coating that you would get on the Pop-Tart. The only thing that's a little bit off to me in this is that something in it, and I suspect it's the LA cream cheese icing, creates this ultra smooth feeling that also coats your mouth. When I vape this, I get that sort of mouth coating. It's not quite waxy, but it is very much a mouth coating, which, I don't know, it's a little bit off to me. Others might like it, but for my palate, it's a bit off. It sort of detracts a little bit from the Pop-Tart texture, and I think this is also maybe what gives it that raw feel that Vurve was talking about. The strawberry is great. It's not too bright or candyish, and it's layered in very nicely. As I say, it sits in between those two sheets of pop pastry. The Pop-Tart registers really well. It's bakery forward with the strawberry as an accent, which is how I like it to be. Other notes, for me, strawberry really wants dairy. It's the fruit that I'd pick for a cream, a milk, an ice cream. I've never really found a strawberry bakery that I like that much. I know that people have tried it in cheesecakes and so on, but for bakeries, I would always tend to go blueberry or the drupes, the peaches, the apricots, that type of fruit. Strawberry, for me, it tends more towards the creamy dairy side. So maybe just something, I'd maybe try that base with a different filling, maybe an apricot filling, just as something different. But it is an accomplished mix. I'm not sure Vurve was happy with the fact that it was a raw Pop-Tart, or whether it just came out that way and he decided to run with it. But this is very good overall. I tried this in 2 different RDAs. In the Hadley, I get the bakery forward, which is where I like it. When I tried this in the drop, the strawberry became a little bit more prominent. So I prefer this in the Hadley, just because of the balance of flavors that I prefer. But yeah, this is accomplished. It's true to the profile. The texture is spot on. So yeah, good job, Vurve.
Yeah, so the description there it's 4 words. He just said a raw strawberry Pop-Tart. That's it.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's very accurate. When you vape it, you feel like, yeah, this is a Pop-Tart that hasn't been in the toaster yet. But for all that, it's very, very good. Really good balance of flavors. That cookie and pie crust pastry is good. It's light. The mix overall is sweet enough. Again, people might not like that raw feel. They might want something that feels a bit more toasted. I don't know what could go in there. Maybe toasted marshmallow or something like that to try and add a bit of toastiness to it. But for me, as it is, as a raw Pop-Tart, it works great. So
we don't really have Pop-Tarts here locally, right? I mean, we know what they are, but it's not so readily available. I mean, especially not at my convenience store. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only had one local brand, which I think I got from Pick and Pay. But it's, yeah, I mean, we get the idea. It's a toasted pastry with a fruity, jammy filling.
Filling, yeah.
And that's what this does.
Cool.
It's a difficult blend to give that idea of a fruity filling jam between 2 thin, pastry sheets, and Vurve does that really well. That's one thing I like about Vurve, is that the texture in his mixes is usually spot on. That is one aspect that he invariably gets bang on correct.
Cool, Rudi.
Good.
Got another one.
Yeah, I want to touch on. I don't have too much to say about watermelon crack. I just want to touch on watermelon crack and the use of the ingredients, and then just chat about milk and sugar cookies as well. So watermelon crack, again, one of those where where the main ingredient, the main euro, was not available locally for a very long time, and that became available around about the same time, June this year, which is the LA watermelon. So LA watermelon is deemed to be the forerunner in terms of watermelon flavors. Albeit candied watermelon, it's not a very fresh watermelon. It's a beautiful watermelon in particular applications. And in here, you see, I mean, it's a clone of a well-known brand. It's a BX Vapor clone. I've never tasted the original, so I'm not certain of the reference and what that would taste of. But it's got an interesting set of ingredients, and one ingredient that I think made Flavor West very happy, that somebody finally used the ingredient and then bought it once and never again. And that's Flavor West Jungle Juice. The stuff on its own is absolutely putrid. I can't stand it. It's revolting. I mean, it ranks up there with unicorn vomit and a few others. But it works surprisingly well in here. It's probably the only recipe where it works well. So you paired up LA watermelon at 9.5%, and then Flavor West watermelon at 1.5% to provide the base of the recipe. So combined, it's 11% of watermelon. So it's a strong, heavy watermelon forward flavor, full on, unmistakable watermelon. And then comes the 4.5% jungle juice. So the jungle juice has a very unique, sort of undescribable flavor. I mean, it's difficult to pin down what actually is in it. It's a bit of a mythical mixture, but it works here, and it provides that mysterious, what is it sort of a flavor. You can't quite put your finger on it. So it's there to add a bit of intrigue, which is beautiful. A touch of Capella Cool Mint, just to provide a bit of contrast. And then Flavor West Hard Candy at 3%. So that works very well in here. I mean, the other ingredients since then has become available that could probably work better in here, but the hard candy does the job here beautifully, and it gives a nice sweetness to it. And then just a touch of watermelon, so 1.25% watermelon. Marshmallow, TPA marshmallow, to provide the sweetness and a little bit of body. So it is a nice juice. It is too sweet for me. There's too many sweet ingredients in here, but it's a good, solid watermelon vape with a little bit of intrigue provided by the jungle juice. So unmistakably watermelon, but a candied watermelon at that. I've tried this with the Puralim watermelon. Didn't work at all. The Puralim is too fresh. It's a contrasting flavor. It's a fresh watermelon. It doesn't work here so well. But as it is, nice recipe. Very high total flavoring of 20%, which is in today's norms pretty steep. The recipe was originally created just on 2 years ago in July 2016, so it's been around, and I think a little bit of adaptation here will make it can bring it back in line with current trends.
Mm. So jungle juice. When I was in Mauritius, and of course I was working there, they had their own version of jungle juice, and what I believe it is a lemonade, schnapps, and vodka cocktail. That's what
Yes.
I believe it is, right? Does it taste like that at all?
No. No. It is almost. I don't know how to describe it. There's elements of fruit, but what type of fruit, nobody knows. I mean, it is. I don't know what the reference was. I bought it, I make it, and I keep it only for this. I make it now and again, and it just sits and gathers dust. I can't stand this stuff. It's terrible.
There are certain FW flavors which, if you see them in the recipe, you just go, no, I'm not doing reindeer poop, jungle juice, magma current, rockstar. You know, don't call your unicorn vomit. Don't call your juice, your flavor unicorn vomit. It just doesn't, nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah. And then I want to contrast that with a recipe I've been mixing. I just want to touch on it because it is a superb recipe. A recipe I've been mixing for a good year and a half, and I discovered it by pure accident. And it is very highly rated. I think it was when I was looking through Vurve's profile, and I stumbled across milk and sugar cookies. Milk and sugar cookies is a 5-ingredient wonder. Total percentage is 6.5%. And he uses just a couple of ingredients beautifully to create probably one of the best milk and sugar cookie recipes around. It's 0.5% FA cookie to provide a nice dry cookie note to it, a bit of crispness. 2% Flavora cream, 0.5% FA meringue, 3% cap sugar cookie that then works together with the FA cookie to provide the main biscuit or cookie profile, and 0.5% vanilla custard. Very low. 0.5% is 0.005. They're serious talking to me.
Oh, Siri.
Serious talking to me. 0.5. She wanted to know what.
Just interrupt you like that.
It's on silent. I don't know how she picked it up. Is it him or her? I'm not sure. It's her.
Gender neutral, yeah.
I know. So his description, I would imagine, is probably bang on. It says milk and sugar cookies, full stop. Simple, easy, and fucking delicious. And that's about it. I mean, there's no frills, no fuss. There's nothing in this recipe that can be changed or that should be changed. Any changes that can be made to enhance this. I use this as a base for other fruit type mixes. You can add a nice Inarera strawberry in here, a Sisha strawberry, something like that, to create a nice jammy effect to it. But it is so simple. And also the steep time is quick. The Flavora cream doesn't need that much time. Just the sugar cookie and the vanilla custard needs a bit of steam, but it's such low percentages. On the vanilla custard at 0.5, the steep time is negligible. This can literally also be a shake and bake. And it gets better. I mean, after a week or so, it's probably peaked. And the biscuits and the creams have melded beautifully. So stunning little quick milk and sugar cookie recipe for beginners and pros alike.
That one's a staple for me. I invariably have milk and sugar cookies in my rotation.
I'm thinking about mixing up this one as well, just to take a break from the fruits, but yeah, I for some reason I've run out of FA cookie. I think I've used it too much. I don't know. I haven't replaced it, so I'll get that and mix this up. Thanks, Rudi.
Good.
Cool guys. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I've got another recipe, and I saved the best one for last. Talking about Vurve sleepers. This is vanilla almond milk. Now, it's an intriguing recipe because it pairs two flavors together which are usually supporting flavors. I mean, people have tried to make vanilla forward juices, and I don't know, vanilla just works better as a supporting note rather than a top note for me. And the same with almond. It's put in bakeries to just add a bit of creaminess, a bit of nuttiness. It just improves everything that's added to. But they're not really two flavors that you would expect to be, prominent forward flavors in a juice. So he's paired them in a milk, and the recipe is 1.5% FA almond, 0.25% Flavor West hazelnut, 0.13% Inawera marzipan, 1% FA meringue, 0.5% of Inawera shisha vanilla, 3% of vanilla swirl, and 1% FA Vienna cream. His notes talk about that, this blend is now finally where he wants it, and he considers this to be perfect. And the moment I tasted this, I had to agree with that. I mean, this is masterful mixing. It's just a perfect almond vanilla balance, and everything about it is right. The right level of moistness, the right level of sweetness, the right texture. You're not a big fan of nutty mixes, Theo?
Yes, not very nutty forward. It weirds me out. But, I did look at this one, and it looks like, there's a lot of creams there. So I guess it tones down the nuttiness a little bit, right?
If you want a gateway into nutty mixes where the nut is just blended in perfectly, and it doesn't have any of the negatives that you usually get from nuts in mixes, which is, dryness, that sort of burnt taste, the harshness. This is the mix to go for. This is also what DIY is all about, in my view. It's a very subtle mix. It's two very delicately balanced flavors that are just layered in perfectly, and they put on that perfect creamy bed that brings out the best of both the vanilla and the nut. Well, it's almond with hazelnut and marzipan in there, so it's a sort of blend of nuts. The almond is forward, but it's boosted by those other nuts and the creams. And this to me is just, again, this is a mix that I can have in my rotation all the time. It's easy to vape. It doesn't overpower your taste buds. But at the same time, it's extremely tasty, and it just, again, perfect texture. It's that texture that he gets absolutely right. The layering is right. I'm struggling to think of any way that this mix could be improved in any way. And the beauty of it is that it's two flavors that you wouldn't normally expect, to complement and to perfect each other in a mix. So this for me is Vurve's kind of his masterpiece. It's a mix I can vape all day long, and it's a mix that I constantly have in my rotation. So this again, I would have to say this gets a 5 for me. It's one of the very, very few mixes that I would give a 5, but this one deserves it. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's got 11 4-star ratings. So I mean, it's a very popular mix. Would you say that this one here is, so the cream, is it, a very creamy vape, and the almonds, on it kind of blended, or is it quite a separated feel to it?
No, it's perfectly blended.
Okay.
An almond milk needs, the almond needs to sit in the milk that you can't actually tell the difference between the two. The almond boosts the milk, and the milk boosts the almond. It sits together as one,
one
entity.
thing, one product,
and, yeah, and he's done that. And I mean, almond milk is a thing they sell. I mean, again, it's not a product that we get a lot here, but apparently it's quite popular in the States, where it's, it's sold in cartons or bottles or whatever. And this, I would imagine, is a perfect representation of it. It registers as a creamy milk. So it's a little bit thicker. It's not like a skim milk that they've added a nut to. It's a full-bodied milk, and that almond and the vanilla just sit in there perfectly. The whole thing blends into one sort of holistic whole, and it's just delicious. I mixed this up for the show. I've almost finished the bottle already. I just guzzle this stuff down. It's a perfect DIY mix for me.
I'll mix this one up as well. Cool. Well, thanks, Richard. So let me quickly go to Vurve's profile. Let's see what is the most popular mixes over here. Okay, so Watermelon Crack at number 1 with 4-star ratings, and then Best Damn Pink Milk, 23 4-star ratings. And then this is one that I really wanted to mix up. I just didn't have, what was it? Orange Cream TFA was Dreamsicle V dot perfected for real this time. So I really wanted to mix that up, but unfortunately I just couldn't. I didn't have that one flavor. I didn't know what to sub it with to get something.
And sub it with orange cream bar, whatever you do. Orange cream bar is the flyable version of the orange cream, but it's not
the same.
It's not the same. No.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for all those mixes, Vurve. I think you got quite a couple of recipes reviewed, but thank you very much. Keep on putting out mixes for us to enjoy, and thank you very much for all that you've done up to this point. Anything that you guys want to add to this?
Yeah, we miss you, Vurve.
I saw him on the
again.
Yeah, I saw him on the Last in the Mix show, right? He was there, wasn't he? Yeah.
Brought tears to my eyes.
No, seeing Skittles there, that brought tears to my eyes. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching the show. If you guys have any comments or any of Vurve's mixes that you've mixed up and you really rate extremely good, or any feedback for the show, just keep them in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But yeah, thank you very much for watching the show. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.